The views and opinions expressed here are solely those of the guest and host, respectively, and not necessarily each other's. Hey, we're out here in Boise, Idaho, and our local resort has tons of snow, and I have a pass, and yet they are not open. And so on today's show, we are going to be talking with my cousin, Nicholas Kottenstette, and Nick has a kind of an interesting situation at home, and we'll see if we can connect this and we can chat about it. So I find it a little apropos that we might be talking to him about this. I find it apropos. There he is, Nick. Let me change my setting. I find it apropos that we're talking, Nick, given the current climate. So let me can you hear me? I don't know if he can hear me or not.
Dude.
Hey.
What's up, man?
Hey, what's going on, cousin? All right. Wow. I find this very apropos that we're talking, and just given the current climate and what may transpire out of this whole mess, which is crazy. You like my new set?
I do like your new set. That's a nice microphone.
It is. Thank you. Yeah.
Part of my corona cough.
I know. Watch out. I might get it. I'm not wearing my mask, so hopefully I can't get it this way. So how you been, man?
I'm good. We've been working from home for the last week or so, and they're banning all travel in Massachusetts starting noon tomorrow. Except I guess apparently you can still go to the store and the gas station.
Well, that's good. I mean, I guess if you got
in the pharmacy, well, that's all we've been doing anyway.
Yeah, pharmacy and food.
We've been self-quarantining ourselves as much as we can anyway.
Right.
Of course, I'm sure everyone in their mind thinks, "Do I have it?"
Yeah.
I got a little bit of a cough, or I feel a little.
Well, you just don't know what to think, right? You start. I mean, right about this time, we start coughing anyway. At least some of us with immune systems, we catch a bug and go through a couple days of coughing, and it's just, man, I'm very curious about the testing and how this is even like, what is the false positive part of the test? I mean, that's kind of the.
Yeah, I mean, there's been articles floating around that it's as high as 50%,
which is crazy.
I think it's real. Let's see. Let me look at have you looked at the coronavirus map by John Hopkins? It's pretty impressive.
I think my coworker had it pulled up today, and it says
coronavirus.jhu.edu. What's nice now is they actually are doing gradients with like the cities, so you can kind of see how the spread is. But I guess for me, what's going on in Italy really made it real for me, and I mean just the way it's kind of spreading through Europe. And I have been following the numbers. In Massachusetts, I think we have. How do I get I could probably get US. It's really a neat little map. It's coronavirus.jhu.edu.
Can you share your screen?
Sure, I can share it with you. Hold on.
Hey, just so everybody knows, we're about a week out. So maybe I release this early if I can get it cut, but we're probably about a week out.
So can you see my screen?
There it is. Yeah, actually, this is what I was looking at. Massachusetts. There it is.
Yeah. So you can see what's going on in Chi-Town there. I mean, now they're. Wow, look at that, just 922 in Illinois. But New York is really where it's all happening. New York City's got 10,000 cases, I think,
Man. And so then
12,000 cases, about 100 deaths, about 1% death rate.
So then that would be about
Long Island,
6,000.
I was surprised just Long Island's got 2,000 cases. I mean, it's all over the place.
So then do we have to like cut that number in half then? Do we have to cut those numbers in half just to
No,
accurate numbers or?
I think we're underestimating what's going on now. There's a very good paper that was put out um, that I saw on LinkedIn that kind of describes the dynamics of how an epidemic goes. You start counting the cases after there's probably 10 times as many cases already there. And there's sort of like a wave. And the
Wow, look at that.
So, this we're out in Western Mass, so it's not so bad here. It's like 40 cases or whatever. But what the whole outbreak here in Massachusetts that started really was from a company. They had some meeting, and 100 or so people all got exposed, and they all caught it. It's incredibly contagious, from what I can gather. And that's kind of started the outbreak in Massachusetts. I don't know what was the index case in New York. That would be kind of interesting, but it's just so densely populated, you kind of can see what's happening. So if you kind of jump over to Italy, I mean, look, they're going to have more cases than China. China clearly is not reporting their cases. It's almost a joke.
Didn't they say
there's no way
or something?
There's no way a country with 1 billion people only has 80,000 confirmed cases.
Unless they've rigged their tests.
But
right?
you can kind of see the dynamics here. There was some bloggers that I saw some news on that they disappeared them. They were going to the hospitals. They were showing the dead patients, and the China's got pretty good control over the message over there.
Yeah, I can't have that.
And then all of a sudden, like, I mean, it's kind of a joke, right? Like, if you watch the dynamics here, you got some reporting, then all of a sudden, oh, it's over. Look at this plot here. It's like, it's total nonsense. So, like, when you look at the cases being reported throughout the world here, this is really a neat website. It's crazy. Look at it. It's like it's this exponential growth going on.
So if you scroll,
look at the U.S. Now you could say that this is some testing going on, and we're actually finally doing some testing. Thank goodness. For people who are sick that need to get tested and to figure out some way to maybe isolate them from or just get them help more than anything. So from what I gather, and if they're being honest with us, I hope they are, 80% of us, 85% of us will have it, and we won't even know it.
Fair enough. Sounds like a cold.
And that's not uncommon. I think what's really uncommon about this virus, and I think what makes me a little nervous about it, and probably why the government's going completely nuts, is that let's try to get some more plots on here. They had a nice thing with recovery, but from what I gather is, if you click on any of these things, you can learn a lot. Like if you look here, no recovered yet. And this has been going on for weeks, 2 weeks now, right?
What does Idaho look like?
I think no one's untouched, I think, at this point.
Yeah.
But Idaho's got some clusters here and there.
I like the look of that. A little bit better than New York or Seattle or.
Yeah, I know Seattle. Oh boy.
I think they're on. Yeah.
So but I think
it's all really speculation at this point. This is a nice.
I think
data.
this
is good data.
I think what we're seeing is that you get it, and no one's recovering. It takes, when someone's sick, and from what I've been reading, it takes, if you really react poorly, it could take 2 weeks to a month, I think, for someone to fully recover. Wow. So it's a pretty long virus. And I think these are the things that make you suspicious that this really is an engineered virus. And viruses don't do this. It's just so James Lyons-Weiler, who I think has been very good, and he's been very careful with what he says, and I'm going to just speculate a little here because I can from my
I
Monday morning
love it. Love
quarterback.
it, Nick. Yeah.
But what he's done is he's identified that they published apparently this virus during the SARS-1, and he calls this SARS-2.
Okay.
And what he said was China gave 3 genomes, which were SARS-1, and they happened to throw in this genome, which they call SARS-2. Okay. And so he said it was already published, and it was in the literature like 5 years ago. I don't know if they've published what he has. I think it's under review. I really hope it gets published. But it just begs the question. Now, these are the things that start to really make you get nervous, right? So down in North Carolina, I believe, or somewhere, there's a lab here in the U.S. where they can recreate viruses that are published. So they put a genome out there, and they create it in the lab based on what's published. And they all thought that they were recreating SARS. But lo and behold, one of those happened to be what they're calling COVID-19.
Gotcha.
Okay, this is important. Okay, so
is that like a white paper
so Jack,
published when you say that?
it's a video. He's got a video on his YouTube. It's still there. He's got his own website, and I'll send you later in a sec. Let's just get a little informal and do just some random thoughts. But
why don't we go back?
Here's
back to the stop sharing and we can.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, here. Let me.
I think we've given John Hopkins enough.
Let's see. Let me.
I'm gonna have all sorts of they're gonna demonetize me already, even though I'm not monetized.
Let's see here.
They're gonna retroactively. They're gonna say no, you cannot.
How can I get? Let's see. Stop share? No. Pause share. Resume share.
And I hate to. I know you had a train of
stop
thought
share.
going.
There you go.
There we go.
No. So. Here's the thing.
The guy with the video with the theory.
So here's what I see is that and Jack is way more intelligent on this than me. This is not my field, but looking from afar and seeing what's happening, and why do I think the government's so nervous? and I will say that if Jack's right, that this virus was published by China and 10 years ago or whatever, when they were publishing SARS-1, this SARS-2 virus. Here first is the SARS-2 virus. All right. So now the hypothesis is, and this is why it's a question. Okay. So the assumption is that this was so the assumption, and I think the key assumption, now the key assumption is that this virus that China published was really just a bat virus.
Okay.
Right.
A virus for bats.
That's what SARS-2 is. It was a virus that transmitted from a bat. All this boils down to is that if Jack's right, that they published this virus 10 years ago when there was SARS-1. Okay, and I don't know the exact date when this happened. Then this bat virus just happened to get out again. Okay, and this is what we're all reeling from, the bat virus that goes into humans. People go around asymptomatically transmitting this bat virus for 2 weeks and infecting everyone, and this bat virus happens to stick on everything and doesn't go away. And then when you hear the people that react poorly, they kind of get a little sick. And then they kind of feel like they're getting better, and all of a sudden they really get sick.
That's when the lung thing.
And you look at some of the MRI images of people's lungs, and it's pretty terrifying. I mean, it's like, wow, these guys have water in their lungs, and there's lesions, and they can't breathe. And I understand that people say that it feels like a breathing glass. I mean, it's a pretty insidious virus. So there's all these assumptions. Okay, this bat virus was published 10 some odd years ago, which no one's talking about. Jack kind of discovered it from the literature, which I think is really important. And we're kind of stuck with this assumption. China just happened to publish a virus that came from a bat. But they've published papers, and these are, okay, so we'll just kind of park that thought. Now, Stephen Mosher wrote a great article in the great letterer in the New York Post, and he runs something called Population Research Institute. And the guy is an expert in China. He knows things that go on in China, and he pointed out some key things here. One is when the outbreak happened, the first thing China does is they issue an ultimatum of how their weapons labs need to be secure.
Okay.
But nothing got out of the lab. I think that's important. Nothing out of the lab. There's an outbreak of SARS-2, and we need all these controls so that our viruses don't escape.
You go black.
Right. So, awesome. so okay, all right. So don't worry. Nothing happened from our one of two weapons labs. So there's two weapons labs in China. One in Wuhan, which is a province.
Are they both Chinese weapons labs?
Yeah. So China has two chemical weapons labs to make biological weapons or whatever.
Right.
One's in Wuhan, China, where the outbreak originated from. All right. So now so it didn't so I mean, it's like, okay, everyone, it didn't come out of a lab, but we're going to say these things got to be secure. Okay.
Yeah,
right. So we have that. So we got to secure our labs while this outbreak is destroying the whole world, destroying Italy, is all over the place. It's shutting down the economy. It's crashing the economy. But we got to secure things. Okay. And then we have the fact that the scientists in China sell the animals they test on in the marketplace, and they make millions of dollars every year.
That's fantastic.
Okay,
right?
that's a fact.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a fact. Okay, and then we have, and then finally we have the fact that, they've published journal articles saying, hey, look, we took this bat virus and we manipulated it to make it more deadly. Okay, so we kind of have these three things going on in China.
Thanks.
And it didn't come out of the lab. And you got videos on Vox saying, oh, it just was these rich people in China. The Chinese wouldn't stop them. And that's how it got out. It's like craziness. It's like, who's going to believe this nonsense? So, I guess here's why the government's crapping its pants. Okay. Pardon my French, but what it boils down to is that there's a virus. It sure as heck looks man-made. It seems like they accidentally published this virus 10 years ago. I don't know why. Honestly.
That makes sense.
But this is Jurassic Park. This is Jurassic Park. This is the whole thesis of Jurassic Park, Drew. This is this thing where these people can monkey around with stuff that can destroy the whole world. They can destroy all of humanity, and it's like we just let them do it.
Right? Why not?
So while we're all holed up in our house, and while the insanity goes through, and thank goodness, it seems like America's being honest. I really do think I think Trump's doing the best he can to get some testing. We have some sense of what's going on. I think our governor started isolating ahead of the curve. I think that's why there's still quite a few less cases in Massachusetts. But things you can do, get some vitamin C.
Ascorbic acid.
Just gotta you need a good strong immune system. Get vitamin D. Here in Massachusetts, we got terrible vitamin D levels. Get sleep.
Sleep and sun.
Go to bed. Get to bed early. Get up. Get a good 6 to 8 hours in.
Get some
like
exercise.
You said, go out, go for walks in the morning, get some sunlight. And just keep your immune system strong so that when the virus infects you, which from everything seems to say we're all going to get infected, it's just a matter of when. So your body can fight it, and hopefully the truth will come out. None of us are going to know, but it's total insanity to think that some virus jumped an animal and just killed thousands of people. It's absurd. I think the big countries, i.e. China, the U.S., need to say, you know what, we could have really killed way more people than what this disaster turned into, and we need to stop this nonsense. But I don't think that's going to, I don't know. That's what we got to pray that happens, because the next time it could be 10 times worse. And this is already pretty bad. That's why they're so scared. It's It's way more dead. Oh, and this is the thing. I think people have this foolish conception that, oh well, 20,000 people die from the flu, 30,000 people die from the flu from every year, but that's just a total made up number. The flu, and there's articles in the British Medical Journal where they went looking for the flu deaths, and they came up with 6 when 60,000 people died from the flu. And then the CDC tries to defend themselves and justify where they come up with these trumped up numbers. So that number is to scare people to get a flu shot. Okay, this is real, and it's real because they don't have a vaccine for it, and they're all panicking. So people are like, oh well, it's, way few people died from the flu. No, the problem is people really are dying, and it's not the flu. It's a real thing.
Yeah, it's something else that got manipulated and got out, right? I mean, somehow got. And you're talking about they're selling animals at the market after they've tested on
the
them?
scientists from these weapons labs will sell animals at the marketplace in order to make more money.
I don't that to me right there. I mean, is that happening here? Do you think? I mean, we have like over 1,000 weapons labs here. I mean,
I hope not. I'd be shocked.
We don't have really the open air markets.
I don't think so. I think this is.
I guess we don't need a lot of rats.
This is the difference between a communist country and a democracy, is that people don't need to don't need to go ahead and sell the weapons they're doing tests on in order to get by and make more money in society. I think that's why you get that level of corruption. Similar things happened with the whole nuclear meltdown. Did you see the movie about the nuclear meltdown in Chernobyl?
Oh, I probably
it's really good. Maybe. You really need to watch it.
Film school ruined movies for me, so I'm.
But what you find is when you get these big centralized governments, corruption reigns, and our government's been becoming more centralized and more corrupt, unfortunately. But there's still some controls that our founding fathers gave us that protect us from something that's happened in China. But I think the bigger picture is that for us, we could say it's the big corporations with their pharmaceutical, like I guess we can look at the whole opioid crisis. I mean, people seem to accept that. The more
you got some Morse code going on in the background, either that or it's something my headphones are picking up. No, that's
sorry.
It's awesome. Transmission being beamed in.
So I think
you were saying well, heck,
big picture is that big centralized governments, more room for corruption, less checks and balances. Yep. In this case, the scientists they sell their animals that they've been doing weapons experiments on to the marketplace to make $1 million a year.
And that's insane. That's insane to
me. That's what happened.
Yeah, I mean, wow.
So
what about Russia? What do we, because this crisis, right? Never let a good crisis go to waste. So
Chernobyl's the reason why the USSR crumbled. People, which was why it's a really good movie to watch. It was just such an epic disaster, and we're all living it. We don't realize it, but if the heat exchangers fail in Chernobyl, then 100 million people die because the reactor gets into the water supply over there in Europe, and it's for the rest of the next lifetimes for people in Russia, they have to keep those heat exchangers working, otherwise it will destroy 100 million people. So
that's crazy.
That's why and they say that's why USSR crumbled.
Huh.
Okay, because of all the abject failures that happened at Chernobyl that created the disaster. It's really remarkable. It's amazing that they were able to contain it. I mean, but um, that never is going to go away. And this type of an outbreak that I think we're witnessing is due to similar things. I think it's a lot of corruption. I think it's a lot of greed,
Sounds that
and
way.
and people who disregard what they're going to do to the rest of the world.
Well,
China
okay.
sat on it. I don't know if they're trying to clean it up. I mean, that's what kind of happened in Chernobyl. They tried to quiet down. What happened was actually it was Sweden or or I think it was Sweden detected the radioactivity in the clouds from the meltdown, and
Huh.
that's how it became public. What happened in
So
Chernobyl?
they were
So
just like
China,
sweeping
China,
under the rug.
China may have done the same thing. They may have said, "No, we can contain this. We'll we won't warn anyone." Trump keeps saying, "I wish they told me sooner." And of course, everyone else is going to get all mad. Oh, Trump's not being fair. No, he's right to be mad because they probably were sitting on. They're thinking they could clean this mess up, and that
Nick,
they'd
he's
only.
being racist,
No,
and he didn't act quick enough. Okay,
so
continue.
I think this
It's
is.
ridiculous. It's
So
ridiculous.
the genie's out of the bottle, and I think everyone's terrified
You got to
in
pass the
public
blame. You
health.
got to blame somebody, right? I
So
mean,
it's surreal. I can't believe it. This, I guess, like Trump says, I hope this doesn't happen for thousands of years.
right. So
So you have to wonder what exactly they tell the president when he says, "I hope this never happens in the next 1,000 years." Yeah. So
I don't know,
it
but
it
well,
just
your future hat on or whatever. You're looking into the future, and what do you foresee the effect on the economy to
I think
be
Trump's right.
moving
I
forward?
think once this thing runs its course, it's going to bounce back. There's no reason for it otherwise. A lot of
Well,
people are selling short, and probably waiting for things to bounce back up anyway. It's there's no reason for the economy to tank like this. It really is just people panicking in fear, and
what about like the
this.
mom
I
and
think
pop
I think the
operations?
good thing is because this thing is so contagious and it's spreading so quickly. Um, it's just we're gonna get herd immunity to this man-made virus sooner than later. um, and life will go back to normal. We'll bury our dead, and God willing,
Are we going to learn a
uh,
lesson? Are we going to shut
that's
these freaking things down or
that's
what?
that's that's my prayer. I think that should be all of our prayers. I think our prayers that um, this is just not acceptable. This is really this is no you know and I think this is
It's
yeah
no way to
I
live.
mean
It's no
I mean
way to
this is
live.
this is worse than nuclear war, right? It's like nuclear war that you can kind of control it, but this is a different thing. I mean, what if I don't know? Maybe this is gonna maybe this thing really I don't believe it. I think this is gonna be like every other virus. This they've tweaked to make deadly and
Is it the
muck with
Georgia
people's.
Guidestones thing?
I think the reason why the Chinese have been excited about this coronavirus is because it's an animal virus, and animal viruses are dangerous because they're not designed to play nice with humans. That's why rabies is so bad to us, right? But if you can get an animal virus to go into humans, now it's could be for the short term pretty deadly.
Well, and that's what they did with rabies. And I forget the guy. I
I
forget the
don't
guy's
know.
name, but they put it into a bunch of animals. There was a guy, and I forgetting his name right off the top of my head, but he put the rabies in through a bunch of animals and made it so that it was transmissible. And that our pets get rabies shot into them every year.
Yeah,
And then they spend 24 hours a day with us. So we're not talking about rabies, but you brought it up, so I thought
No,
I'd
no, no, no,
mention
no.
that.
But I think that's why rabies in general is kind of bad. Well, it doesn't really get through transmission. It's from the bite, right? So it's
It's
kind
a
of
human
the
disease, I
the
think.
virus but the virus no it's but the virus has a chance to kind of get in your system through the puncture wound. It gets into your blood directly, and that's why it's capable of probably getting rabies from a bite, but doesn't normally transmit to humans otherwise. Whereas this virus, they chose something from the bat and they tinkered with it so that it could get into humans, and the human bodies don't recognize it. And that's probably why people are asymptomatic for so long. And then what happens is
Tinker.
then they react violently to it. And I guess I don't know what that is. So no one's going to know what that mechanism, if you were to think about it, because it's causing lesions in the lungs. My guess is it's creating a cytokine storm in the person.
So you're talking
And
mechanism of action.
I'm
And
trying to
who's
I'm trying to figure out
studying that, right?
I'm trying to figure out why the virus gets so violent in some people and not others. And so you have to
So it's reacting with something
somehow
is your idea.
something in their body thinks that. So either the either the virus gets out of control and it just starts replicating into your cells and starts destroying them that way. The other thing is that it's in your cells already, and then your body recognizes it, and then it just clamps down and starts killing all the cells that are infected with cytokines. So that's why Ebola is a hemorrhagic fever. So the reason why people bleed out is because the cytokines that their bodies produce is just killing all the cells in their body, and they're just literally bleeding to death.
That was able
This
to be
one's
contained and didn't kind of get out like
yeah.
this.
That's a whole nother story with the whole Ebola thing, with the vaccines that now are approved, and from what I can gather, can be shed from a vaccinated person, which is insane. But these are the things. I think these are the things that, you know, the powers that be that allow this stuff to happen need to really look at themselves and say, we can't have this happen. You know, it's just
Amen and amen.
we gotta learn to behave for humanity's sake, not our own short-sighted goals, whatever those are.
Hey Nick, this has been awesome, man. I hate to cut it short, but I think we've gone for probably, I don't know, almost an hour maybe. Just shy of an hour. Yeah, cut it short. There's so much that we can talk about, and I'm glad that we finally connected. I want to do more of these. I just want to end it because I was thinking, hey, we're all there's all this fear going around and uncertainty, and I was just thinking, the next chat that I have, I want to ask the person that I'm chatting with, if there was one thing that you could do that had no monetary restriction or time restriction, what would it be?
Monetary time.
Okay.
Boy, I don't know. I have to think the thoughts on that one.
I'm not going to hold you to it. I was just, maybe that's too deep for something like this. Put somebody on the spot.
I monetary time.
Right. So it doesn't. So you don't have to do it for the rest of your life indefinitely, right? And you don't have to make time for it. And it doesn't matter what the cost is, because let's just say it either doesn't cost or you have whatever it takes monetarily to do it.
Well, if it's to lead into what I've been trying to do with what little time I have, is just looking at vaccine safety. But
Nick, we're gonna revisit that.
There
man.
You go. All right, but
I love that. I love that.
This,
all right.
I will say that interest has helped me understand a little bit what's going on with this outbreak.
And I want to hear more about it. And it's awesome to connect like this. And we've talked on the phone a couple times.
Yep.
And man, it's been a long time. I think maybe one time a long time ago we went to Elitch's when we visited.
We did. We played baseball with your dad. And,
yeah.
Will, and Will's now flying helicopters out in Alaska.
guy.
I think there's cases of corona in Alaska. I think.
I know.
Did you talk to your brother? I don't know.
I think Sitka is unaffected right now, but he said, we're bound to come here. Now, what's gonna really affect them is the cruise ships, because when the
Yeah.
cruise ships don't come in, that's like everything for those people. You know what I mean? That's like,
Yeah, there was talk that part of the outbreak that got here was they released the people too soon from the cruise ships in Japan.
oh man.
It's crazy. I mean, it's everywhere. It's yeah. It's
Well, I think we just need to
yeah. I think
keep our family close and
yeah. Enjoy the time. I think enjoy the time at home. I think for most of us, it won't be too bad. I guess we'll probably know someone who will die from it. It's
yeah, that's a really scary thought, and I don't even, let's just say our prayers and be close to our family, hug them, and
yep. Get your vitamin C, get your sleep,
vitamin C,
vitamin D, and we'll get through it.
All right, Nick, we'll talk to you soon, buddy.
See you, Drew. Take it easy, man.
See you later. Take it easy. All right, AquaBrainTV, ladies and gentlemen, like, comment, and subscribe. We'd love to hear more. Do you like this? Do you like the new set? Do you like the new format? I want to do multiple ones of these, have some guests on. We'll talk about some current events. And let's find out some people's passions, and let's keep this thing rolling, right? Choo choo.